Very warm welcome, everybody, to today's webinar from Deutsche Telekom. Thank you for your participation. What we will do this afternoon is that I will give a short presentation about Narrow Band IoT. Afterwards, we have the possibility to answer questions. So you can drop your questions and post your questions in our software here. So that's very easy. So I hope that you make use of that one. And I also would like to mention that the questions around deep technical questions all questions will be answered. Maybe not everything today, but our expert teams will give you an answer for sure afterwards. So after our about 1 hour, 30 minutes is the presentation, 30 minutes is going to be the Q&A session. If there are still questions, the team is still here and for 20 more minutes, and so we will try to answer all your questions. So thanks again for your participation, and let's start it. My name is Alexander Lautz. I'm heading the M2M business for Deutsche Telekom, and so I just want to show you the slide. I think you cannot see it right now. So my name is Alexander Lautz, and I'm the Senior Vice President for M2M in Deutsche Telekom. I'm heading the business for Deutsche Telekom Group, located here in Germany. And one of our key topics actually is narrowband IoT for the industry in total, for the enterprise customers, but also very much for the telco industry. And I think most of you are experts in that arena, and happy to share my views today in this webinar. So what can we expect for the day? It's clustered like this. The 30-minute presentation will comprise 3 actually phases. So first of all, I would like to share my view on the market with you. Secondly, I will go into the benefits and use cases. And thirdly, it's the technology part, and even more important, the participation part for all of you in cooperating with Deutsche Telekom in this kind of field. You see it from the agenda setting. It's very much coming from the market and from the customer needs and from the customer problems that we have, which we have to solve. It's not a technical seminar in that perspective. This is also one thing which also comes into my mind when we are in the telco industry or in the IT industry. We're talking about technologies. You see it also in the name of Narrowband IoT, which is the name right now for this category, which is maybe not perfect, getting really into the market and in the customer needs. But this is an industry problem that we have. We do it again here as an industry. But I think connecting objects wouldn't have been so interesting for you. So that's why I call it narrowband IoT, like the industry is doing that. But in the end, it's about connecting things and objects and sensors. And I will show it in a couple of minutes. So the market overview, let's start with that one. And the customers we're talking to, and I just have 2 quotes here. It could be much more quotes, but 2 quotes is the customer says, for example, a customer says, I want to have full transparency of the parking space, which is in my city. That's very important. One thing. The other thing could be, I want optimized routes of trucks collecting containers based on fill levels and therefore reduce my logistics. So that is very important. These are quotes from the customer side. So what does it mean? The customers want to solve a problem in the digitalization of their processes. They want to really solve a problem and not buying a piece of technology. So that's what you saw with the, and I might have go back 1 slide again. So that's you see full transparency of the space that the parking lot has, or to optimize route for garbage trucks. So no technology, like the customer is not going to a telco company or to a software company and to say, oh, I want to buy 20 megabyte per year from Narrow Band IoT. This is not a problem they have. The problem is getting transparency if a parking lot is there or not, or having a garbage or not. So on the next slide is actually shows the variety of use cases that we will all have, and the variety of use cases could be on the left side from traffic lights, then in containers for sure, but you have also animals more in the agriculture part, but also animals in your home environment. So these are assets, very important for those who own it, for the owners. Then in the lower side, you see also the smart metering, which is a very popular one. The garbage part I talked about. The light poles actually are very, very important. Light poles is a key asset in all our use cases. And then you have also industrial parts or vending machines. So this is a variety of parts. So what's new about it? We have this, and for those who are in the industry like me for maybe 20 years, we have that. We know that from a lot of use cases already for 20 years, 15 years with M2M. But so what's new about it, and why do we have this big, let's say, market opportunity? And then we have to move on to a clicker. Sorry about that one. All right. So the next slide. The next slide is it's a fast-growing market, and this is really new. And this is why it's so. I wouldn't say it's hyped, but it's so important. These numbers are from Analysys Mason report from 2014. Show the addressable market of low power wide area connection. Doesn't matter which kind of technology is there, but this kind of characteristics I will show you later on will go in also this year. So it's about 36 billion, and it will go up to much more, and so it will start actually with 200 million devices next year. This is the magenta piles that you see down there. So it's 200 million already next year, and we see it 3 billion coming in 2023. And many of our customers and market experts even say this is too low. So this is a big number. Just when you count the connectivity pieces, the pieces that can be connected. I will come to the pricing model later on. You will see that there also are some changes. So having said that with the pricing, now let's go to the next one, the use cases. Use cases are have a big variety, and I will dive into some of these use cases. So the first one is utilities, waste management companies, smart meter company, gas companies. Then we have transport, the whole transport and logistics area, which is goods tracking. We have the consumer part. It's the variables, but it's also the high value assets, like I said, with a dog, for example. The public sector, and there's also a big other word is smart cities. So the public sector and the smart cities is a very big environment where we have lots of very good use cases. And we have the buildings. Talking about buildings, it's not so much the consumer part, the homes, is even more in the business buildings. That's important, but also in the consumer. So it's both, but office buildings are also very important. And in the end, it's industrial automation, it's manufacturing business. There we see also many kind of use cases. I will share with you two use cases in detail. The first one is about the smart city parking part. Today, it's a big problem for a city to detect free parking space, and it's also a big problem for you as a citizen or as a tourist in the city or commuter to find a parking place. So, a lot of your planning is around parking. And a lot of traffic actually is also around parking. This is one number I couldn't believe in the beginning. Maybe some of you know this already, but there are current analysis that 30% of the city traffic is derived from traffic jams. And so also 30% of the pollution in a city. So for a mayor of a city, it's a big problem which has to be solved. So one thing is people go more by bicycle, but the other thing is also people find much easier a parking space. So what could be a value? A value could be that we have lower investments in road construction and maintenance. It could be more detailed information, and also the driver could save time, but a city could also gain more money. So to optimize this and to have a solution up and running is a great use case. Why is it so special now for narrowband IoT? We could do it. Could we do it today? We could, but it's very expensive. It's very expensive to do so. So what is the three characteristics actually from narrowband IoT are it's designed for low data rates. This means 600 bits per second up to a few hundred kilobits per second. And a parking space is like parking lot is occupied or not occupied. And this is transmitted maybe every hour. So the frequency is not very high. The data is just like on off. It's very easy. So low data consumption. And the third argument actually is the cost per module. The digitalization is really something which is not working. So in my home, we have to do it manually year by year, but we paid for a kind of digital solution. So that's not very comfortable for nobody. So the business efficiency is not derived for the enterprise customer, and me as an end user, I'm not happy with the solution. So what we can do here is we can really digitalize the process with a highly automated, not proprietary, with a standard solution that everybody can use. So you know that the convenience is that you don't have to wait for the reading stuff. Your maintenance costs in the end will go down, and but also new potentials can arise. This is, for example, it could be an app where you have your own heating consumption with an environment. You have a big data part, so you can make use of that one. So there's again an object which is very relevant, which is going to be metered. So this is our second advantage. And what are the key benefits from that one? In the end, for that one, we don't need a hub concept. So many use cases have then a hub where you have a kind of router in between, and things are connected to the router, and then it's transported via fixed line or via mobile. In the case of narrowband IoT, you can really directly bring the information over the air into the network, into the cloud, and you can build your business processes on that one. A second argument, maybe you can say this is an argument for the carriers, but I think everybody will benefit from that argument, is we can have many devices in one cell. So I will show you later how technically narrowband IoT will be rolled out in a carrier, from a carrier perspective. But the number we have here is like in one antenna is providing one cell. We can have up to 100,000 connected devices. Why can we do that? And it's just a very small frequency bandwidth that we use. because these kind of devices, they don't bring so much data every minute. It's not a streaming dienst like Netflix. It's really like every 2 hours, parking space is empty, parking space is occupied, or smart meter, just maybe do it on a weekly base or daily base or even monthly base. So it's just few data transmitted. And the third example in that perspective is that you don't have to drop you have the deep indoor penetration. The deep indoor penetration is an argument. I was really surprised what technology-wise is going to be possible with these kind of devices. Normally, you see and you experience that when you're with a mobile phone in the basement of a garage, for example, you don't have connectivity anymore. And maybe you have it in level -1, maybe level -2, but then finally it's done. Here we have a very good deep indoor penetration rate on this technology, and we saw rollouts already where we have init penetration on -6. So you can really go down to the room and to the level where your heating system, for example, is, where your parking space is. That's important to know. These are the use cases, and these are small numbers, like value-wise small numbers, because it's just a few bit, it's just very cheap or should be very cheap equipment. So how do we earn money as an industry in that one? So we have to change that. So, and the change is that we call it value-based pricing. So the value-based pricing approach means we focus really on the benefits and instead of technology things. Our industry, telco industry, made the mistake in the past to talk about megabytes, where the customer wants to have a piece of information like temperature. And the customer said, oh, I need the temperature of my heating. And we said, as a telco, we said how many megabytes you need. And so this is irrelevant for the customer. So it's too technical what we do. So we have to go into the benefits of the customer. I don't go into details in value-based pricing in the presentation. Happy to share more insights in the Q&A. But here it means like we're setting a price point with a customer, which is a value. For example, it's a point, I mean, my cost for meter reading is like X. And when I do it automatically, I have an improvement of X plus whatsoever, or X minus something. And we as a carrier, we get a share of that benefit. So we make a benefit efficiency share, or when we go for additional revenues, we have a share of the additional revenues that a customer can really get from this solution. So that's in a nutshell value-based pricing. And it's important that we have this also in mind. Now, coming to technology and the way how do you participate. So the technology part is something where probably if you Google Narrowband IoT, you find a lot of information already. But I will give you on 2 slides a little bit of summary. The first one is, in comparison to other technologies carriers provide, low power wide area is in the low end of the transmission. So it's really not the high end like low latency, lots of tons of gigabyte. It's the low latency. It's more like the small band, narrow band technology, which is down there. Oops, this was too fast. I would like to go back 1 slide. Here we are. So, and there are 2 possibilities actually what we can do. There's a kind of unlicensed spectrum, and I know some of our visitors today or members of this webinar are with companies who support unlicensed spectrum. It's ultra narrowband called, or it's LoRa. Zemtech is our partners here. So this is actually the part which you can have, which you can roll out. It's very good on a local basis, and the benefits from the use cases, you will get most of these benefits also with these kind of technologies. As a carrier, we go with the license spectrum, in the license spectrum. Why? We are used to run networks with nationwide rollout and standards that we can build this piece of new technology on. And so the carriers of the world, they organized in the 3GPP, a global initiative where we set a standard on narrowband IoT. And I could tell you that this standard is now set. So in June, so just recently in June 2016, this standard is defined. And that's very important. It's defined, and so all vendors for radio networks equipment and also for components and end user hardware, they can all build now their products on this standard. And so the standard has a big advantage for us. This standard is a worldwide standard. So if you're a company, a waste management company, and you have your business in different cities around the world, you have one technical solution that you can roll out everywhere. It's the same solution everywhere. So that's a big advantage from our side. Then there are advantages like future proven operations. So it's going to be there in the future. So we have standards internally, like how do we manage the connectivity. So there are a lot of technical parts in there, but for the customer, I think a striking argument is you have a nationwide rollout and you have it around the globe. One more slide on technology, and this is the basic standard. As I said, you have maybe on the far end side, you see a narrowband IoT device. In this device, there is a component in there, there's a module in there, and so in this module, you can have maybe a chip, then you have the model, and then you have the device. So this device is connected via a radio access network. That's what we call RAN, the radio access network, to a kind of core network or a cloud environment. Now, so we have the transmission layer. So it's the access layer, is the transmission layer. And then we have the service layer on top. And this is also new to the party. As I said, right now, many use cases are around our contracts that we have in the field in the machine-to-machine area is megabytes. So a customer buys megabyte from a carrier. And here you have a combination of megabyte traffic plus the information that you really need. So the device application itself. So which is my example, is always temperature. It's not megabyte, it's temperature. So this piece of the temperature the device measures in one side is going to be transported into a backend platform. The concept from Deutsche Telekom is called Cloud of Things. So this is our product suite that we offer in that perspective. It's live. We have a lot of procs out there. We have customers there, so we roll it out in Europe, and so that's our Cloud of Things, is our IoT offer. That's technology. So coming to the last part, like how can we? What is the benefits? I will sum up the benefits for a second. So we have this kind of security based on our LTE. So it's SIM-based authentication, integrity, and also the crypto mechanisms we can use from well-known technologies. So the carriers go for this kind of identifier in the LTE part. It's a public network which is operated by a carrier in a managed license, and I said the carriers are in close alignment to roll it out on a worldwide basis, and you will find this standard all over the world. So this is again the benefits that comes from the technology part. So on my last slide, I would like to sum up our approach. So the approach is, when we start at the top, we will have trial network infrastructure in 2016. So we rolled this out. We showcased narrowband IoT last year in 2015 here in Bonn. So we showcased what's going to be possible, and this was a parking space use case, by the way. So, and then we have the trial network infrastructure, but it's not a network. We help you really to use, then you bring your data into a server, which you can download the data, and we will also bring and have modules available so that you can test that. So that's experience trial network offer, what we're gonna have late this year, and so then we have trial applications, like for example, a fill level application in the dustbin, or this now famous parking app, or it's a tracking app of a container or a pet, whatever is what your companies are doing, what applications do you see in the market. We're not the experts in designing all these applications. This is our partners, and so again, this is the three steps that we have. We start with this experience network. We will have a prototyping environment which help you, and then we will see the rollouts in Europe, but around the world in 2017. It's the commercial rollouts of Narrow Band IoT. So let me sum it up. It's a standard approach, Narrowband IoT from Deutsche Telekom. We have many use cases for different customers worldwide. So happy to have you as participants join us in our future prosperous IoT world. So thank you very much. This is the part on Narrowband IoT. Before I end, one advertising in. For a second webinar, join us next week. I mentioned that not next month, sorry, in 12th of July. It's Cloud of Things. Please join us. You will have much more details about this layer where we talk temperature and volume and not megabyte anymore. So thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer now your questions. Thank you. So I got already some of the questions in here. So the one question was around the pricing model. What will be the pricing model of Narrowband IoT? What's the driving cost, traffic, or localization? As I said, I think we will have two things. We will have a standard pricing model, which is more or less the classical way, where you will have an upfront payment for the device, and this is probably here. I would say we go with an upfront once-off payment per device on a lifetime basis. The second one is, which I very much promote, is the value-based pricing approach. So that's the idea. Deutsche Telekom is very much open to discuss it with the customers. Second one is, where can you buy the modules to build new solutions? So the modules are going to be built right now. The modules will be built by vendors. So we have chipsets, modules, and then the device. So the housing factor and the interfaces are very important in the end. There will not be one module which serves all of the cases, and I think it's very clear. The module that you use maybe for a parking situation is a different one for using for your dog. You have different lifetime of batteries, but also different, I would say, housing factors. But so there will be the modules for module vendors. Their strong vendors are Huawei and or Intel or Sequence, or just to name a few, or Qualcomm. But interesting then for an application provider is to find the right housing concept to make this module up and running. Available, the modules will be available through the carriers, but even more, I would say, in the standard way, where enterprises get hardware from system engineers and also from probably B2B shops. So the next question is, how do you get your customers to tell you real value of data you're generating by M2M Narrowband IoT technology? So this is a tricky one. On the other hand, what I experienced in the talks with the customers, it's much better to talk about what the customer need is and to say, okay, maybe you can reduce your pollution in the city, by that one, he feels much more comfortable than to pin it down in components which they cannot offer. So it's a kind of also an industry-wide approach. So it doesn't matter which technology, it doesn't matter which company we are in. We as an industry in total must be a better partner for the enterprise customers, and not to bring our abbreviations or technical acronyms into that proposition. So next question was about around 5G. So 5G is actually comprises a lot of technologies. 5G. Normally, when you see in the press, I mean, 5G is like, yeah, the networks are even faster, or low latency is a big issue that we have to solve when we are going to edge computing. And there are, for example, use cases like virtual reality or augmented reality, where you have in your glasses certain information from the internet transported, and you see it while you walk in a business environment, for example, in the warehouse. For that one, you need really high capacity, and this capacity comes either from a computer, a local one, or even more in the future also from the networks. So that's the 5G, let's say, high-end part. But I personally think that this low power wide area networks or narrowband IoT will already migrate into the 5G story. But I think so 5G is really around use cases and not around it's a technology with this kind of new spectrum, and then we go for that one. So it's part of, at least at Deutsche Telekom, it's part of the 5G story. So there's a technical question actually. What's the main difference from a technical perspective between narrowband IoT and LoRa? In other words, which technique is the better one? As I said, both technologies in the first instance, they answer or solve the problem for the customer. But there are advantages, and that's why Deutsche Telekom goes directly with the narrowband IoT standard and not on a LoRa standard. LoRa is available right now, which is good and drives the market. That's good. It's also it's a very good technology, but for us it's not in the standardized license spectrum, so it's not standardized that much. And for future-proven use cases for our operational parts, we see clearly benefits in the standard. And around the standard, we will see more, let's say, features, more capacity, more operational benefits, and also in the future more devices, cheaper devices. So because the pure volume, and in the end, telecommunication is a volume game. When all carriers go into that standard, for us the benefits will be clearly for that things that bring really the big masses of devices. So yes, there was one. Please explain the narrowband IoT device. The narrowband IoT device is in the chart. I said it's a chip. Then there is a module, and then there's a housing factor. Maybe I answered that already when the question came in my speech. But it's in the end it's a small connector to a sensor. So the idea is always that you have a sensor which brings the numbers, brings the information like temperature, like volume, like filling level. And so this is what the sensor is doing. And the sensor then has this piece of information has to be transported over a connectivity, so the radio network, into a cloud environment where the customer can get access to. So that's one answer on that one. And to see if I have more questions already. I think so far. So I would like to encourage you to bring in more questions via our web portal. So then we are done for today. Thank you very much. When there are any more questions, please post it to us. We are happy to answer them. I hope you had an insightful webinar on Narrowband IoT, and you get a grip and the feeling why the market is so interested in having this technology. And this is really something that we as an industry, carriers, enterprises, technology partner can really go for in the future to make the IoT tangible and successful for all of us. Thank you very much, and hope to see you soon in the next webinar on Cloud of Things. Thank you.